Okay, so if you've ever taken a Sociology 101 class, you've definitely run into the name Auguste Comte. I mean, he's the guy who actually gave the field its name. You don't get much more foundational than that. But his story? Well, it's not exactly a simple tale of academic success.
In fact, his life is this incredible paradox. And honestly, it's summed up perfectly by this one sentence. He had this brilliant, clear vision for a brand new science of society, but he ended his own life in total intellectual isolation, seen by many as a joke.
So, that's the big question we're going to dig into. How did the man who wanted to create a new, stable order for the entire world end up living a life of such complete personal and professional chaos? Well, to really get the man, you have to first understand the world he was born into.
Auguste Comte was born into a world that was basically on fire. The French Revolution wasn't some distant memory, its embers were still glowing, and society was anything but stable. And this wasn't just some historical backdrop, it was the very problem he was obsessed with solving.
I mean, just look at this timeline from when he was young. It is nuts. In just over 30 years, France goes from a post-revolution directory to a Napoleonic coup to an empire to the monarchy coming back, then Napoleon comes back, then the monarchy comes back again, and then there's another revolution. This constant, dizzying change was just normal life.
So in this whirlwind, the old pillars holding up society, the monarchy, the church, they were all crumbling. For a young, smart generation of thinkers like Comte, there was this desperate hunt for something new to believe in, some new source of truth. And for them, that new faith, the thing that could bring order to the chaos, was science.
Now, Comte didn't just cook up sociology out of thin air. He was a master synthesizer. He was working with some really powerful intellectual building blocks that had been left behind by the thinkers who came right before him.
All right, let's break this down. From Montesquieu, he gets this really radical idea that society isn't just random, but it's a thing that has laws you can discover, just like physics. Then from Turgot, he gets the concept of progress, the idea that all societies evolve through the same predictable stages. And finally, from Condorcet, he gets this almost religious belief that science is the ultimate tool for humanity to achieve perfection.
So with all these ideas buzzing around in his head, Comte finds himself in a relationship that would pretty much define and, ultimately derail his entire career. He starts working for this super influential, kind of eccentric thinker named Claude-Henri de Saint-Simon.
And at first, it was a dream team. Saint-Simon had these big, visionary ideas, and the young Comte had the super systematic brain to organize them and make them rigorous. For 7 years, their minds just merged, and they created the very foundation of what Comte would eventually call sociology. But, and there's always a but, right? A huge conflict was brewing right under the surface.
And this right here is the heart of the problem. Saint-Simon was an activist. He wanted to change the world, and he wanted to do it now. Comte? Nope. He was the pure theorist. He was totally convinced that you had to perfect the entire scientific system first before you could even think about applying it. This wasn't just a minor disagreement. It was a fundamental clash of personalities and purpose.
So in 1824, that clash led to a really ugly, bitter breakup. Comte walked away, sure, but in doing so he made powerful enemies of the Saint-Simonians, who were a major intellectual force. Professionally, it was a complete disaster, a move that would haunt him for the rest of his life.
That breakup is the real turning point in this story. From this moment on, what we see is this tragic battle between Comte's incredible genius and his own self-destructive personality. It's a textbook case of self-sabotage.
And man, did he know how to burn bridges. He pushed away allies because he was just so obnoxious and certain he was right about everything. His personal life was a total mess. And then there's this, which is just wild. He started practicing what he called cerebral hygiene. He literally stopped reading anybody else's work because he wanted to keep his own thoughts pure. He cut himself off from the very world of ideas he wanted to lead. So get this. After spending almost 2 decades of his life writing his 6-volume masterpiece, The Course of Positive Philosophy, how many reviews do you think it got in the French press when it was finally done? The answer is 0. Not a single one. Complete and total silence. His isolation was absolute.
In his final years, it's actually kind of sad. The guy who wanted to be the leader of Europe's top intellectuals was reduced to giving lectures to workers, calling himself the high priest of humanity, and trying to start this weird little cult around his ideas. The entire scientific community had just moved on.
Which brings us back to that central paradox, a brilliant vision from a man who ended his life as, to use the source's words, a demented fool. So how do we square that? What is his real legacy?
You see, his true genius wasn't necessarily creating brand new ideas from scratch. It was his incredible gift for synthesis. He took all these scattered concepts from the people before him and forged them into one single coherent vision for a new science of society. He gave it a name, he gave it a mission, and he gave it a structure.
And this is really the key takeaway here. Just as our source material points out, new ideas are almost always built on top of what came before. Comte was a crucial link in a very long chain. And his difficult personality, in the end, couldn't erase the power of the idea he put together.
Which leaves us with this final big question to chew on. Auguste Comte was arrogant, difficult, and ultimately a pretty tragic figure. And yet, the field he named, sociology, is still here, still thriving. It really forces you to wonder, can a powerful idea ever truly be separated from its deeply flawed human creator?